And so after much conversation and workshopping, we came up with the new subtitle, drum roll. So the new book title will be called, hit me, Producer Potts.
Dr. Sarah, I know you have some exciting news to share about your book, Nutrivore.
I do. So Nutrivore, the radical new science for getting the nutrients you need from the foods you eat, is coming out in paperback format in May 20th. And there's going to be a few little changes to the cover. Um, Going to the paperback edition was a wonderful opportunity to kind of look at the presentation, right? So often when you are looking at books, you're just scrolling either some book recommendations or some you might also like. You're just looking at what's new and interesting, and you just see like really fast, like what's the like you have half a second, right? It's just scrolling by on a cover. And so going to the paperback edition, it was a wonderful opportunity to revisit the cover and go, is this the best possible way of grabbing your attention and communicating what Nutrivore is visually in a very short period of time? And I think the consensus was it's I mean, I love this cover, but like maybe we can do something better, right? Maybe we can do something more interesting. So Nutrivore is getting both a slightly new cover and a new subtitle. So this is the subtitle, The Radical New Science for Getting the Nutrients You Need from the Foods You Eat. And as we were thinking about it, this is like I go through lots of science in this book, but it's not a science book. Like it's very like 30,000 foot view science. And I think as we were talking about it, I think there was a little bit of a question about whether or not that really communicates like what the tone of the book is. Like, and yes, the goal of Nutrivore is to get all of the nutrients your body needs from the foods you eat, but that's not all of it, right? There's this whole other piece of what Nutrivore is, which is to meet our body's nutritional needs without engaging in diet mentality, right? With leaving restrictive mindset when it comes to food in the past and getting off the on again, off again diet roller coaster, right? The idea is to adopt lifelong healthy eating patterns, not not to diet, right? Like it's not a diet, it's a dietary philosophy. So can we um can we do that, right? Is there a different way to have in just a few words communication of all of that, right? That the Nutrivore dietary philosophy of really like making sure that we're getting every nutrient, but that you get to continue eating the foods that you love. And in doing so, you increase the average quality of your diet in such a way that you are finally able to achieve your health goals, that you are protecting your long-term health, right? Like it's about those healthy eating patterns that are so important for both improving symptoms now and reducing risk of health problems down the road, that that it can completely transform our health, our relationship with food, our relationship with our own bodies. How do we communicate all of that? And so after much conversation and workshopping, we came up with the new subtitle, drum roll. So the new book title will be called Nutrivore, Eat Any Food, Get Every Nutrient, and Transform Your Health. I'm so excited. I just think it is the promise of Nutrivore. It is the explanation of not just the goal of getting all of the nutrients our bodies need, but the approach to food choice, which is permissive and not restrictive, and the promise of Nutrivore that because this isn't something that you white knuckle for a short period of time until you can't do it anymore, but rather a lifelong approach to healthy eating, that it's the thing that finally allows us to achieve our health goals. So I'm excited about the subtitle.
I love the new subtitle, but it's more than just a new subtitle.
There's a new graphic on the front of the book. So the current graphic on this title is actually it's kind of like just an Easter egg for people who have spent a lot of time on the website. This is actually a play on the macronutrient breakdown graphics that we have on every food article on the website and the nutrient cards that we've created for various digital products. So it's like a really fun visual for Nutrivore. But if I've got half a second or a second of you scrolling past a thumbnail of my book cover online to grab your attention and communicate what Nutrivore is, we again sort of just brainstorming on the team, we kept coming back to one thing, one visual of a food that perfectly encapsulates Nutrivore while being extraordinarily provocative. So I am really excited to show the new cover for the paperback edition of Nutrivore with a sandwich on the cover.
Oh my gosh. I've already seen this, of course. I love the sandwich. I've been obsessed with the sandwich for a long time. It's very exciting. But do you want to share with everyone else? I'm sure everyone's curious to know, why did you choose a sandwich for this cover of Nutrivore?
I think a sandwich is both the provocative, attention-grabbing, perfect image for the cover of this book, along with being like the most quintessential example of how simple swaps and easy additions within the foods you like, have access to, and can afford can make a huge difference in terms of nutrient intake. So first of all, even though Nutrivore kind of lives in between diet and anti-diet, right? We're learning about healthy eating patterns. We're trying to improve the quality and the nutrient density of our diets without diet mentality. The philosophy leans towards anti-diet. You can apply the Nutrivore knowledge base to a preferred diet to tweak your food choice to fill nutritional gaps. But the default mode on Nutrivore is to implement it as an anti-diet. That being said, even anti-diet books are within the diet, nutrition, and weight loss category of books. So to just have a sandwich on the cover of a book in that category as you're scrolling through all of the books that are, fear-mongering different ingredients or telling you to restrict a bunch of foods, to cut out a bunch of stuff, you're going to see a book with a sandwich on it and you're going to go, what? Why is there a sandwich on this cover? Sandwiches have been maligned for decades as like not being a diet food. And you have to do all of these things like make them lettuce wraps, right? Cut out the bread, right? Like, oh, we can't have, deli meats. Like there's so much like baggage to a sandwich. So it just grabs your attention. But also sandwiches are like a ubiquitously loved food, right? We all have these like fond memories of the sandwiches that were packed in our school lunches, or like I remember getting really sick and tired of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as a kid, right? Or we have like complicated memories of the sandwiches that we were packed in our lunches as a kid. Like everybody has a kind of sandwich that they like. So that visual of like, wait, I get to eat a sandwich is this just like wonderful, positive, permissive message that goes along with the Nutrivore dietary philosophy. And in addition to grabbing your attention and showing you that you do get to eat foods that you love, a sandwich is a great example of how little tiny tweaks can weigh up your nutrient intake. So let's take the example of the sandwich on the cover of the paperback edition of Nutrivore. It's like an amped up ham and cheese sandwich. So if we started with what would a like basic ham and cheese sandwich look like? Let's say 2 slices of white bread, 3 ounces of deli ham, 1.5 ounces of sliced cheddar, and a tablespoon of mayo. That's actually a pretty nutrient dense meal. It would have a Nutrivore score, which is a measurement of total nutrients per calorie, of 184. And any food with a Nutrivore score over about 150 is contributing more nutrients than calories to our diet. So we're not dissing the basic ham and cheese sandwich, but we are still going to make some simple swaps and easy additions to it to increase its nutrient density. So the first simple swap you'll probably notice looking at the sandwich on the cover of the paperback edition of Nutrivore is that bread's not white bread. White bread has a Nutrivore score of 128, multigrain has a Nutrivore score of 194, and whole wheat has a Nutrivore score of 215. So just swapping out the bread is increasing the nutrients in the sandwich. You can also up the nutrients by swapping out the cheese. Cheddar cheese has a Nutrivore score of 126. We could go with Gouda with a Nutrivore score of 136, Swiss with a Nutrivore score of 157, or go for a reduced fat cheddar cheese with a Nutrivore score of 155. Another swap we could make is using fresh ham instead of deli ham. Deli ham would have a Nutrivore score of 294, whereas fresh would have a Nutrivore score of 427. And then we can also make some additions to up the nutrient density of the sandwich. Maybe adding some yellow mustard, which has a Nutrivore score of 718, and some veggies. The sandwich on the cover has red onion, Nutrivore score of 380, some tomato slices, Nutrivore score of 983, and some green leaf lettuce, Nutrivore score of 2,245. And if you did all of those changes to make the sandwich on the cover of the new paperback, you would increase the Nutrivore score of the entire sandwich from 184 to 308. Which is a 67% increase in nutrient density. And of course, you can make this your own. Pick the swaps that make sense to you, and maybe you want even more additions. You want to add some pickles or alfalfa sprouts or your favorite hot sauce. So a sandwich is both attention grabbing, but also this wonderful illustration of both the balance and the opportunity to up nutrient density that the Nutrivore philosophy embraces.
Sarah, I hope everyone is excited for the paperback. I am super excited for it. I am definitely going to be adding it so I can have it next to my Nutrivore book on my bookshelf. But can you tell everyone again where they can find the paperback? And when it's going to be coming out again?
So the paperback edition of Nutrivore with its fancy new subtitle and sandwich on the cover is going to be released on May 20th. But honestly, you don't have to wait. The book is still the same book, and the hardcover right now on Amazon is discounted cheaper than the paperback. So you can definitely pre-order the paperback, and I appreciate pre-orders because they do help create momentum for a book. But you can also just go out and grab the hardcover. You will get everything the same, except just a slightly different cover.